Subscriber on Wave here. Today on Direct to Rhykker, I made some Blizzard news, and this is pretty important because I'm quite hyped for Diablo 4, not as much for Immortal, but yeah, I'm gonna pause and be tuned for opinion stuff and let's get started, I guess.
Hey folks, this is Rhykker with a gaming news wrap-up video where we discuss the happenings of the week. This week's topics include the head of Amazon Game Studios stepping down, the 150 plus unique dungeons Diablo 4 will have, Diablo Immortal's release deadline,
Unique dungeons or just randomized dungeons?
and more. As always, discussion timestamps can be found in the description below. But right before you skip ahead, just a quick reminder to ring that sub notification bell to be alerted to new Saturday episodes and stay up to date with gaming news highlights. Now, before we move on, just a quick word from this video's sponsor, Keeps,
Rake to everything, of course.
Your hair. About
you can skip through it,
will experience some form of male pattern baldness by the time they reach 35. Now, some men lean into that shaved head look, but some enjoy having and styling hair and want to know, are there any options? There's no magic cure for baldness, but there are preventative steps to stop it from progressing, and Keep.
That's pretty bad.
Keeps is a subscription service that focuses on making it easier and more affordable for men to treat their male pattern baldness, all from the comfort of their home, using clinically proven, research-backed treatments at about half the cost of a traditional pharmacy. Physicians at Keeps will help pick the right treatment plan for you, and every treatment plan comes with a full year
of do it if you want to support Rhykker. He does great content, man. Especially when Diablo 4 will come out.
As subscribing and having everything you need delivered right to your
content will be lit
with
for him.
refill reminders sent to ensure you don't run out of what you need. Hair loss stops with Keeps. To get 50% off your first order, go to keeps.com/Rhykker or click the link in the description. That's keeps.com/RHYKKER. In our first quick bit of news, E3 2022 has been fully cancelled. No real-life show, no digital online show either. However, it will return in 2023.
Is it because Microsoft bought it?
E3 has been held annually in Los Angeles from 1995 to 2019. It was first cancelled for the first time in 2020, and then in 2021 they had a digital show. Now, with more and more big publishers doing their reveals on their own schedules.
But I personally think it's kind of bad. It ruins the feeling of being a part of that community if you go to these conventions, man. It's pretty sad.
People have
events.
To question the need to have a giant expo like E3 anymore. It used to be this huge thing that everyone got excited and hyped about.
Yeah.
But with fewer and fewer big reveals happening,
it's not that profitable. That's the thing.
Major publishers deciding to do their own reveals. Well, I turn the question to you folks. How much do you still care about E3, and how much more did you care in the past? Sound off in the comments. In other news, we learned this week that the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild has been delayed to a spring 2023 release window in order to extend development time. Development on the sequel began in 2017, right after the release of the original, and the game's setting has been expanded now to include the skies above Hyrule.
Skyward Sword actually
released to universal acclaim, so this sequel has big shoes to fill.
Don't tell me you can fly with a bird again. It would be so nice, man.
I don't blame them for wanting to take it
Skyward Sword.
In other news, co-op action game Warhammer 40k Darktide has received a new release date. Originally expected in 2021 before getting pushed back to spring of this year, the game will now release
I hope this game will be
15th. First announced in 2020,
it does need to be great. It needs to be
Darktide is a 4-player FPS
replayable. Like most of the Warhammer games are pretty garbage when I'm being honest. Like I love this genre, I love Warhammer 40k, but they don't know how to nail it in the games, man.
Set in the hive city of Tertium, in which
Vermintide was pretty great, but yeah.
It's Left 4 Dead 40k edition, for those who are unfamiliar with Vermintide. This week also saw the reveal of One Piece Odyssey, an upcoming turn-based JRPG based on the hit manga One Piece. Made by Bandai Namco and Ilka Inc., the dev behind Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Pokemon Shining Pearl, it lets you...
I never was into JRPGs which are turn-based, but I played the RPG Maker once. Like
as a number of the Straw Hats.
I love RPG Maker games.
And JRPG on a mysterious island filled with imposing creatures. It's set to release later this year on PlayStation, Xbox,
Can you call it that?
And Steam. In other news, Mike Frazzini, the head of Amazon Game Studios, is stepping down so that he can focus on his family. Frazzini first joined Amazon almost 18 years ago, working in the book section of Amazon before becoming head of Amazon's newly formed gaming division, an endeavor that cost Amazon hundreds of millions of dollars a year through multiple canceled projects before finally releasing a commercially successful PC game in 2020.
Oh, Crucible. Crucible, man. I had so much hopes for that one. But yeah, but
21. New
but
World,
I didn't
which
like
saw
a
record
few
player
days.
numbers at launch, but received
Reset.
mediocre reviews, and those player counts quickly dwindled down. Amazon Games was also behind the Western release of Lost Ark this year. Another success, but
Yeah,
that's not quite the same as making a game from scratch. Franzini had come under some
they just publish it. It's not too much effort, to be honest.
criticism for his inexperience
At least I think
in
it is.
game development, and it's currently unclear who his replacement will be, but Amazon would be wise to use its deep pockets to snag an industry veteran if it wants to really be serious about gaming. And on to Diablo news, starting with Diablo 4. This week we got the release of the first quarterly update of 2022, and its focus was on environment art, but through it we did learn a few more tidbits about the game, its locations, and its dungeons. Of particular note was that Diablo 4 will have over 150
Like Diablo games always nail the desert. It wasn't great in Diablo 3, but in Diablo 2 the desert had the best feeling of all areas. That's just a personal thing, man. I just love it.
Dungeons. As a comparison, Diablo 3 has roughly 50, so yeah, that's a lot more. In Diablo 2 news, a bit of a scare happened this week with D2R. A server maintenance update caused an issue, and they had to take down the servers and do a rollback to fix it. Some people started talking doom and gloom for the upcoming release of 2.4, thinking we're going to get another delay to the latter start, but Paz Radar came in to assure us that the maintenance was a success, the rollback was small and to fix something minor, and that April 14th is still the target date for 2.4 release. There is one issue, however. Once 2.4 launches, character names will appear in all caps. Game breaking.
Wow.
Also in Diablo 2 news, if you're looking for something to do before
What
the
an
new
update.
ladder season, a new league in Project Diablo 2 began yesterday, a special league with only magic, rare, and crafted items. There's increased XP rates in Hell, and you can get free Uber materials to try to take on the final bosses that they added in this mod. And in Diablo Immortal news, we got some news on the game's release window, and an update on cosmetics and class
Damn,
change.
I just want to play Diablo Immortal right now. Just on the smartphone when you are on the train, man. Just hack and slash action. It doesn't need to be that great, man. Why can't you bring it out?
Pre-registrations
like,
for Immortal are now open on iOS, and the App Store lists a June 30th release date.
Okay.
However, that's been confirmed by Blizzard to just be a placeholder date. We've known ever since the last delay in 2021 that Blizzard was targeting the first half of 2022 for Immortal's release, and June 30th is the last day of the first half. So it's pretty typical to see in storefronts when you are given a release window, you put in a placeholder date that is the very last day of that window. However, one interesting factoid is that the App Store has certain rules. Once you enable pre-orders, you have up to 180 days to release your product. So even if Blizzard ends up delaying past their window of the first half of 2022, which I don't believe they will, but in theory, then they will have up to the end of September to meet that 180-day rule. Basically, the iOS pre-registration is a sign that the game's release is finally coming. They are committing. And Blizzard is coming out of the gates swinging. They've established a pre-registration goal. If at least 30 million people...
Like, to be honest, I just want to have a rebirth of Blizzard. With Microsoft, especially when we take over. It will be probably done in like a year. They take it over this year, I know that. Or do they? But it will take like another year till they completely assimilated everything and can start new projects and stuff like that, man.
Globe, pre-register to play the free-to-play Diablo game. Then all players who log in the first month of the game's release will receive a special Haradrim cosmetic set. 30
I was so hard
million.
into
To put that into
Diablo 3, man.
perspective, 3 years after its launch, Diablo 3 had sold 30 million copies across its base game and expansion. Of course, 30 million for a free game is a lot easier to achieve, but that's still a giant number. And I don't think Blizzard would have aimed for that number if they didn't think they could achieve it. Then in a blog post, the devs gave more details about how cosmetics will work in Immortal. Now, normally the gear you wear dictates how you look, and that gear will be worn on your character or carried as appropriate without altering your character's anatomy. A hat, for instance, is a hat. It goes on your head, it's not going to go through your head, it's not going to change the shape of your head. However, cosmetics...
The problem I had with Diablo 3 was it just got easier with each season. It was getting easier.
are skins that can
we were so struggling at the beginning of Diablo 3, but
like turning you into a spooky ghost.
It's not
Cosmetics
easy
are
again.
acquired per class, so you have to get a cosmetic multiple times if you want it for more than one class.
Just grinding.
But each cosmetic set is available.
Okay, that one looks so. What is this, man?
For every class. Cosmetics will affect your outfit, your weapons, and some even include custom animations. They're also going to look different across the different classes as appropriate. And they're planning to roll out a new cosmetic set for all classes each month, themed after the month's battle pass.
So they make money,
that honestly sounds like a huge amount of work. I'm sure part of Immortal being delayed to this point was them front-loading a few months worth of cosmetics for when the game launches, because since they also plan to be adding new classes over time, making a new cosmetic set every month that must be customized for every class and every gender, that's a lot of work. That's basically 12 cosmetics right off the bat, right? 6 classes, 2 genders. That's 12 cosmetics you got to make every month, and that number's just going to keep growing as more
Imagine Lost Ark would put that much effort into doing skins, man.
Classes get added to the game. Now, if you buy the battle pass for a given month, you'll be able to unlock the cosmetic for one class, and buying the premium battle pass will also include custom portal skins and portrait frames. Other cosmetics will also be available in the shop, and there will also be free cosmetics and some that you can earn through playing. Now, this is the monetization model I really wanted for this game. Just the cosmetics. I don't know how viable cosmetics...
If they're doing something like where you can buy some chaos or... It's not perfect, some BS, that would be retarded, man. Why? Why? Like, I would instantly quit if they put in some kind of pay-to-win mechanic. It shouldn't be that bad. Like,
Cosmetic MTX is as a business model for mobile games.
I hope it's good.
My understanding is that they didn't start off with Cosmetic MTX because it was not a proven model on mobile. I don't know if things have changed since then. It's been a number of years, but that's the reason why that we have the other MTX in there that we have. Cosmetics is a proven model on PC, and I can see, for instance, Diablo 4 possibly using a cosmetic system similar to this. Now, apart from cosmetics, we also learned about how, as you level up your legendary gems, you'll see your growing power reflected in your gear. Every legendary item in the game will have its own unique visual progress.
Okay, that looks nice.
To accompany your gems' growing power. It's definitely nice.
We don't have that in shit in Diablo 3 itself, but this is something which truly shows progress.
To have this
maybe Lost Ark should think
in Immortal,
about something like that, man.
Be starting over with a new character every season.
Okay,
you'll keep investing into the same character for the long term.
Dope.
That'll mean that once you've geared up, your character basically never changes from a visual standpoint. So giving this long tail progression a visual indicator is a nice way to help make players feel like they are continuing to grow in power.
Yeah,
now I know some people are gonna say, oh, I hate all these over-the-top effects. I'd rather just look like the guy on the left. And while I won't comment on whether they could be toned down a bit or not, I will say 2 things. First off, most of these people who are saying they hate these effects and want to look like the guy on the left probably are not planning to play Immortal anyway. Am I right? And second, remember that you're playing this game on a phone screen, where details are much tinier and harder to read.
Yeah, no one truly cares about that, man.
And lastly, the devs also spoke about a class change feature. There will be some limit on how often you can do it, but you'll be able to take your current character and change its class in town.
What?
You'll retain all your Paragon levels, all your progress, but your equipment will disappear. It's going to be saved on your original class in some void space, and you'll be given on your changed class some starter gear, but you can transfer all your item upgrades and gems into this new gear. You will, however, have to find all the legendary items for your new class. Then, if and when you swap back to your original class, you'll get all your old gear back, and your new class's gear will get saved into that void space. Basically, the devs didn't want players to feel like they had to give up all the progress.
I think I'll make a mage again, like,
or
that was my first
alts just to be able to
character.
adapt to balance changes or a shifting meta. And this is an interesting solution. Now, I'll reinforce here that Diablo Immortal is a
just making another Archon build
about very long-term progression. it's hard to estimate, but
So
it can
much
easily
fun, man.
take you a year or more to fully finish upgrading everything on your character. This is not Diablo 3 where you're done in a couple of weeks and you can easily have 7 fully geared characters in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
It's not even Diablo 2. It's even harder than Diablo 2, but think of it like Diablo 2, I guess.
I hope so,
Farming
man.
for endgame
Like,
gear
I watched a bunch of Diablo 2 Resurrected, and it seems pretty good right now. But I haven't played it personally. I don't know if I should really buy it, but yeah.
A paladin you want to make.
Maybe I think it over.
You're doing all the work on your main character,
but depends,
then
man.
basically you just class change to equip.
Okay, I'm playing Lost Ark right now.
The only difference here is that in Diablo 2, it'll take you a bit of time to level up your paladin, whereas in Immortal, it'll instead take you a bit of time to find that gear, since you can't farm that gear on a different class. For full details, you can read the blog post for yourself, link in the description.
Nice.
That's going to wrap up this week's video. But do be sure to have checked out last week's video in which we discussed the Diablo 2 ladder start date and Diablo 3 season end date. Thanks for watching. Special thanks
I think
to
I'm gonna watch the Diablo 3 one because I'm still interested in that game, but I'm not actively playing it anymore. I just want to know what happens, how the meta changed, if my verse build is viable. And yeah, that's actually it. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to Rhykker. He does great content. I love it, man. His voice is like the best one. And yeah, subscribe to me if you want to see more reaction stuff, more Lost Ark stuff, more Elden Ring stuff, more new games in general stuff. I also do, it's basically variety content. I do what I want. It's not an effective way to gain subscribers, I think, or views, but I just have fun with it. And yeah, thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, and I see you next time. Wafer out.